Of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Chisholm?
Here.
Bell Richard?
Here.
Carlson?
Here.
Luce?
Present.
Lohr?
Here.
Rustad?
Here.
Johnson?
Here.
I'm going to ask Lorraine Borowski to introduce her replacement, and so could you do that, Lorraine?
Sure. Well, it's really my, it isn't. It's my pleasure to introduce you to Kristen Torzel. A lot of you know her. She's been with the library since she was 3. We've gone through a lot of developmental stages with Kristen, but she has truly come a long ways and is ready to lead the library and the staff. So it's very nice having you on board.
I promise no labor laws were broken when I was 3 at the library. Very happy to be here. Thank you.
Well, welcome to staff.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, do we have a motion for approval of the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion by Rustad, supported
Second.
by Carlson. Roll call.
Rustad?
Aye.
Carlson?
Aye.
Luce?
Aye.
Johnson?
Aye.
Lohr?
Aye.
Chisel?
Aye.
Bell Richard?
Aye.
Okay, that agenda is approved. It says Mayor's Report on Boards and Commissions. We actually have 2 vacancies. The Communications Board of Trustees, Utility Communications, Carolyn Corbin, her term expires and she's not willing to run again, so there'll be a position there. And there's also Georgia Swenifus has resigned from the Civil Service Commission. So those 2 positions are vacant at this time, and hopefully with gender equity we can get those filled. So we'll proceed with public comment. And April Brill, you're here. April, could you address the council on the Iowa Walking College? Yes, come up to the podium.
Hi, my name is April Brill. I recently got selected to be a fellow, 1 of 15, for the Iowa Walking College through the Healthiest State Initiative. So I'm really excited to bring what I learn over the next few months. It's a 6-month program to Decorah to help increase walkability and walking in the area. Through my work at Upper Explorer Land Regional Planning Commission and their Safe Routes to School program, I already am involved in increasing active living in the community through the walking school bus and open gym for younger children 0 to 5 over the winter time, bike rodeos, and monthly community walks. And I look forward to hopefully working with the council or any other community members to increase that work. So that's all. Thank you.
And you give us a report too? Is this?
Yeah, that's just the release for more information about it.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you.
Maybe somebody's got you a question. Anybody have a question?
Hurry.
I'm new to this, obviously. I don't know what's going on.
Apparently, I guess none.
I have a question.
Yes.
Will she be involved with you, Chad, and Kevin on any of the work that you're doing on sidewalks?
She can be, and she would be a resource there. I think that should be valuable on some of those questions. Maybe more so with the Planning and Zoning Commission as they kind of work through some of that. So, yep.
Good.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anyone else who would like to address the council for public comment? Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda, which includes the minutes of the May 1st meeting. It includes the claims. And item C is considered Decorah School Street closing request for Patriotic Day concert on May 23rd from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. They'll have a nice concert there during the noon hour if you haven't attended. It's from Washington Street from Water to Main. Item D is consider C3 commercial design review for 411 West Water Street. This is photography by Brittany. Item E is consider C3 commercial design review for 118 and 116 West Water Street. This is Group Benefits Partners. Item F is consider C3 commercial design review for 220 West Water Street. This is Roots. Item G is consider C3 commercial design review for 312 West Water Street, Oneota Community Co-op. Item H is consider site plan and C3 commercial design review for 203 East Water Street. This is Decorah Bank and Trust, basically a parking area. Item I is Resolution 2790, setting a date for a public hearing on conveyance of Sumner Street on June 5th at 5:45, and this is at Fairgrounds, property in the Fairgrounds. Item J is Resolution 2791, setting a date for a public hearing on the easement agreement with Water Street Professional Group LLC for use of public right-of-way 116, 118 West Water Street on June 5th. And item K is expand outdoor service area for Toppling Goliath, July 28th and 29th, and August 19th events. Any questions by council members about consent agenda?
Yeah, I do, Mr. Mayor. I think it was last fall, I'm not picking on you, Chief, but I think I brought it up, some complaints I'd gotten on K, of drinking in the parking lot and then drinking as they walk down Ice Cave Road. And just want to bring that up and let you know I'd like to make sure that I don't want to interfere with Toppling Goliath, but sometimes people don't live in our town, and they should abide by the same rules as the people who live here, and I just want to make you aware of that. I hope we don't get any more complaints from that, so, all right? Thanks, Chief.
Any other questions or concerns about consent agenda?
I'll make a motion for approval of the consent agenda.
Okay, motion by Carlson for approval,
Second.
and seconded by Lohr. Roll call.
Carlson?
Aye.
Lohr?
Aye.
Chisel?
Aye.
Bell Richard?
Aye.
Luce?
Aye.
Johnson?
Aye.
Rustad?
Aye.
The consent agenda has been approved. Item 7 is consider resolution 2792, final replat of Scenic View Estates 11th edition. Maybe a few comments, Chad?
Yeah, these, actually, these next two items, but 2792 is a 6-lot final plat for Scenic View Estates, commonly known as the Downing Edition. In his overall preliminary plat, master planning of that area, these two additions add 6 lots and 8 lots respectively to the ongoing development of that subdivision. So all the infrastructure is there, so there really are no concerns with streets and lighting and stormwater and that. It's all been considered through the development. So planning and zoning recommends approval.
Okay, council.
I have just a question regarding that the development up there, which is good. Mr. Downey put the first layer of asphalt on the streets up there, and it's very thin in some spots, and it's busted up over the winter months. Is there a time frame for him to finish? Because there actually is a lip there too, from the street to the curb. In some spots. So is there a time frame that we should be monitoring regarding finishing that?
Yeah, I don't know that we have a time frame, but go ahead.
And I have not heard him mention a time frame to give you, but I would say 2 things. One, he needs to remediate the parts that are not working well, obviously, before he puts the second layer on there. And we would typically, we've seen developers do this approach as a 2-layer approach in the past. Maybe we need to come up with some style of expectation that it doesn't go 5 to 10 years or something before you get the second layer, because the value in the first layer is getting the second layer on there before it gets too old. And so it should happen before too long.
Well, I would hope it would be, because I would hate for the city to be, in a sense, liable if, for example, the street department would go through there, of course, this coming winter, if it hasn't been done, and it busts up even more, then will Mr. Downey come back to the city and say, well, your street plows busted up the street. The city should be liable. And so that's why I want to see that street, first of all, repaired by Mr. Downing and then finished under development agreement.
And I wouldn't disagree. I would say the only thing I can't say for sure is if that's his intent for this construction
Season,
season. We
right.
just haven't heard that, I guess.
So, Gary, you're suggesting that we hold off until we have...
I'm in favor of this, and I would say no myself personally, but I just think it's very important that we are aware that he has not finished putting the second layer of asphalt.
We could hold off then and make it contingent on the approval.
Well, the problem with doing that is it stymies his ability to sell lots. He can't sell them until they're approved and recorded, so that's the only thing there. It's kind of a, I think our methodology has been, he can come in and do this first lift, get the construction traffic out of the way, make any other repairs, and then make the final lift so that construction traffic doesn't beat up the road in its final form. I would also add that the city has not accepted the deed for any of the streets up there yet at all, so they're all still...
So he's still doing the snow plowing himself.
No, we're doing the snow plowing.
Okay, so I'll go back to what I said earlier. I hope, if nothing gets done before this coming winter, I don't want to make sure the city is not really liable for any damage it may cause. Thank you.
Okay. We have a motion for approval of that resolution.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2792,
Okay.
final replat of scenic.
Okay, motion by Rusted
Second.
and second by Lohr. Were there not questions, other concerns? Roll call?
Rusted?
Aye.
Lohr?
Aye.
Chisel?
Aye.
Bell Richard?
Aye.
Carlson?
Aye.
Luce?
Aye.
Johnson?
Okay, the resolution approved, and we also have another resolution of 2793, final plat for Scenic View Estates. That's be the 12th edition. So,
I'll make the motion to approve 2793, the 12th edition of the Scenic View Estates.
okay, Rusted made a motion for
Second.
approval, and a second again by Lohr. Roll call.
Rusted?
Aye.
Lohr?
Aye.
Chisel?
Aye.
Bell Richard?
Aye.
Carlson?
Aye.
Luce?
Aye.
Johnson?
Okay, that resolution is approved. Item 9 is preliminary resolution of necessity 2794, setting a public hearing considering preliminary plans and specifications, assessment schedule, and cost estimate for the Decorah 2017 Street and Alley Improvement Project for June 19th at 5:45. And so I don't know if there's any comments about this, or Lindsay has any comments, or we're just setting the time and effort here.
I guess I would ask if there are any questions from the council, but otherwise this will be our standard alley and street improvement project as we've discussed over the last couple of meetings.
Well, the only question, and I know maybe you're trying to get out of here quarter after 6. The only question is the concern that was brought up at our last council meeting regarding the alleyway down on between South Avenue and Decorah Avenue, I think it is. Where the alley actually, part of the end of the alley is actually now on private property.
Correct.
And so, again, that's, are we going to be able to address that?
I think what's happened, so maybe I should make sure that we're doing in this grouping the assessed streets that you would do. So any street that has assessments in it would be in this project. And so with the timetable for assessments, we kind of pulled that one out and said we're going to have to solve that so that it doesn't hold up all the rest. But we still need to figure that out. I don't have a solution for that yet, other than that Rick and I are going to have to talk about whether the best approach is to look at property or to look at moving the alley or to look at some combination of both. But what we did was, because of the process to get assessed streets done, we moved ahead with these, and then that one needs a separate path, I guess, to get completed. The other thing that will happen, you will get a list before too long, of the streets that are asphalt overlays that are not assessed, and we'll do those in a little slightly different way. So this is part one of the streets that you do this year, and part two will be coming.
Okay.
That's really a part three, unfortunately, and needs its own solution.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, do we have support for this resolution?
Go ahead.
I so move.
Second.
Moved by Lohr and seconded by Rustad.
Any questions? Steve, is this where you were asking about permeable paving and that sort of thing in this project? No. That different? Okay.
Other council questions? Roll call?
Lohr?
Aye.
Rustad?
Aye.
Johnson?
Aye.
Luce?
Yes?
Carlson?
Aye.
Bell Richard?
Aye.
Chisel?
Aye.
Okay, that resolution carried. Item 10, consider entering into a professional service agreement of the HKS for project development assistance for the replacement of the Oneota Drive Bridge project, not to exceed $7,000.
So just by way of background, this enters into an agreement with WHKS for the preliminary work on the Oneota Drive Bridge, which would include some preparation for a street committee or a community development committee to review concepts, designs, whether the bridge has 1 lane, 2 lanes, bike lanes, steel arch or concrete slab. They would prepare cost estimates for that, but then most importantly, when all that work is done, they will prepare those conceptual designs and submit a letter of concept statement to the DOT for the grant process. So this agreement's for that work.
Plus, we've already had a couple volunteers to serve on that kind of selection committee. Mr. Roos did, didn't you?
Mr. Carlson did.
Okay, Carlson. Yeah, and somebody else from the Park and Rec did too. So anybody else that wants to serve on that certainly can. Any questions about this? We need a motion to continue.
Make a motion to enter into an agreement.
Okay, Carlson made a motion,
Second.
and it was seconded by Luce. Now, any questions? Roll call?
Carlson?
Aye.
Luce?
Aye.
Johnson?
Aye.
Rustad?
Aye.
Lohr?
Aye.
Chisel?
Aye.
Bell Richard?
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. We're down to reports. City manager.
All right, well, I guess I need to be quick. Sounds like it's coming. Just a couple of updates regarding housing and planning and zoning. As you saw in the consent agenda, the Planning and Zoning Commission's been very busy. There's been a lot of activity, which is wonderful not only for downtown, but just in the community. Two things specifically, Hagen has a preliminary plat for a 10-lot subdivision just south of the Venium complex up in the Highland Drive area. And that'll be a nice little project of patio homes for them. And then prior to this meeting at 4 o'clock, we had a community input meeting on a housing study that Upper Explorer Land is working on. As part of that conversation, we talked a little bit about Decorah's residential tax abatement program, which, as you know, is set to expire in December of this year. And so I would ask the council to consider, probably through Dan Bell Richards' committee, Economic Development, Community Betterment, starting to engage in what it looks like when that program sunsets, whether you continue it, modify it, or let it die. So probably sometime in the next few weeks, at least kind of a kickoff meeting to start generating some ideas. And then also with that, of course, we just heard the need to put together a review committee for the Oneota Drive Bridge. So whether that's under Gary's street committee or it's a separate kind of ad hoc committee, you should be thinking about how that committee forms and who's involved in that so that you can look at those concepts. So with that, that's all I have.
Okay, any reports from department heads?
I should point out, I almost did this last time and I would have been a week off, so it's a good thing I waited. But we are working on a solution to try to get the Doug Road Trail section opened up again. Part of the path to getting that done is a geotechnical study. That work needs to have an excavator brought into the site and do some sample excavation for the geotechnical company to get a chance to look at what they want to see to determine what was the reason for the failure and prepare a report. That report is the basis then for FEMA judging how much participation we get. So this work gives us the chance to also put an excavator in there to try to straighten things out enough to open it up to traffic, at least foot traffic again, and probably walking bike traffic or something of that nature. We're working on what the through path will look like when they're done doing their investigation. But that work will hopefully, weather permitting, be this Thursday, possibly into Friday. And by the time they're done, we're hoping to make an arrangement to see if we can't at least open it up to foot traffic again. After that, when the reports are done, there'll be a timetable to try to determine what the permanent fix is. That's going to take a little longer, but at least we'll have use of the trail for everyday walking type traffic again.
Okay. Any other reports?
We had our compost giveaway this weekend, Friday and Saturday. We had almost 100 loads go out on Friday and almost a little over 200, between 250 on Saturday, which was a great success. So thank you for everybody coming and getting that. And I just accepted our salt bid for next year, for next winter, and it's down almost $5 a ton. So a big savings again this year. It's the second year in a row, so good thing.
Hottest day of the year, we're
The Parks Department has hired the city forester, Robin Saylor, to be the new parks assistant, and we've worked it out. She's going to still be the city forester and become a full-time employee with the city and the Parks Department. So,
Anything else there? Lorraine, you've already spoken. Do you want to say anything else?
I'll add one more thing. The pool's filling regardless of the storm, but there's water going in there. So.
Good.
It's being assisted by the storm.
Actually, we feel that we have reached the LED project, and we were setting to reduce the amount. We got to figure out a little more, I believe, but I can report next time for sure. But I really want to thank the community for donating to that project, and they're going to be starting to change them out this week. So
Good.
it's a fun project to have. It's been brighten up the library.
Thank you. Okay. I guess we're up to council members.
Nothing this evening, Mr. Mayor.
Can we schedule the economic community development meeting after the next council meeting? Would that work?
Yeah. Nothing else scheduled right
Yeah,
now.
I'd like to talk on both that and then the outdoor vending or the
sure.
public vending.
Okay.
Okay.
Nothing at this time, Mayor.
What do you think?
We had a meeting with representatives of Alliant Energy. You may have read the letter that Mr. Byrd sent out to everyone in terms of their response to his request for information from Decorah Power needing to go ahead with a feasibility study. The response was, we want to be open, but we really can't help you, except we'd be willing to hire a consultant to use the information you requested doing a feasibility study, or we could look at your feasibility study and tell you where numbers might be off. So they didn't want to develop any sort of antagonistic relationship, but yet they didn't want to answer any questions directly. And that's, I think, what the letter says. Thank you.
Anything else over here?
Bill, I see you got a ribbon on your shield, and I appreciate that. I've been watching the number of deaths in the police department, and I'm assuming that's for, just want to say, stay safe in all of us. Lorraine, I've told Lorraine this, city council meetings on YouTube, and Tuesday after last council meeting, I was in a business, and they were watching it on YouTube in the business. The problem was they called me back behind the desk so that I could identify the people on the council. So, so there's got some information got to be shared with them. The last thing, Mayor, and I'm trying to get us out of here. So I'm going to cut through a lot of details. I would like to submit on the floor a motion for the fire department to be allowed to start looking and doing whatever is needed for an engineer. This does not include the supervising of the fire department, just strictly engineer, as we've known that since January, we had a retiring engineer, and it takes about 6 months to get them up to speed. So I'd like to make a motion that the council approve the fire department to go ahead.
It's not on the agenda, by the way.
But it should be able from the floor. Any person meeting isn't.
It's not on the agenda.
I'd like to ask our city attorney to
It's not
address
on your
that.
agenda, you can't take action. You put it on the agenda for the next meeting.
That's our severe thunderstorm warning that we have going on. So let's all just stay here. I was going to bring it up after, if Chuck didn't, I would like to make sure, I'd like to see us schedule a personnel committee meeting before our next council meeting, so we can continue that discussion. We can't just let it lay.
And I would prefer to have any personnel matters in regard to this to be discussed here in this forum at an open city council meeting that's recorded.
Okay, well, great, no problem.
Since we're all members of the personnel committee, I want that meeting to be here during the council meeting in full light of day.
Great, so then,
So
can we
the
put it on
discussion there will be on the agenda
for next time?
for next time.
Great.
The proposals, there were 2 proposals last time, so the question is, which and what is going to be discussed at this
Well, we
time.
also, actually, Mayor, we could actually have 3. We could have the supervisor, we could have, or we could, and those two options that we discussed last time, or we could have another option of status quo.
Well, I think the other
So, I
thing
mean,
is...
I think there are some options here.
Well, one of the things
I'm
I
glad
think
that
I
we're
need to
talking
clarify with our city attorney, if in fact there were 2 motions last time that failed, would it not be the requirement of those that voted against it to bring it back?
Well, that's Robert Rules of Order. I'd have to look at your city council procedures, because I think you've modified some of those. But
Okay.
if you followed strictly Robert's rules, yes. But I can give you an answer for that.
Okay, because that's a question in my mind.
Yeah.
If we actually defeated 2 motions last time, if those particular motions come back, how does it come back?
Okay.
Okay. Other questions here?
Actually, if I may, regarding the Oneota Bridge project, Chad, the street committee would be more than happy to take that up, working with Mr. Carlson will be on that committee for the design, so.
Yeah, sure.
I'm happy to.
Sure.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, I think we're ready for an adjournment. We'll adjourn the meeting.
So
Thank
moved.
you. Met my deadline.
One that I will send you.